Good. Tēnā koutou katoa ko te amutu, te whenua tupu, ki hikawai au e noho ana, ko Emma Philpott ahau, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora everyone, I'm Emma Philpott. I work in National Services Te Paorangi Te Papa. We're a geographically distributed team, which means I've got the privilege of working close to my family up in Hikawai and the Coromandel. And I look like I work from Te Papa, but I really work from home, so it's really, really a privilege. But to get into it, this is a really big topic, so I'll be quick, I promise. So, to provide some context, National Services Te Paorangi exists under the Museum of New Zealand Te Papa Tongarewa Act. We've got a mandate under there to support institutions and organisations holding objects or collections of national importance. Now, something that has been drilled into us, I guess, within the team is that it's not our place to determine what collections are significant to their communities or what they should consider important. So we focus our mahi in supporting good practice. That's really around collection care within museums, galleries, whare, taonga and other communities who hold collections within Aotearoa. Our collection sharing website, which I'll talk about today, Kōtuia, is one of the tools we use to support this mahi, but it's worth noting here, we're a team of 7. There's a lot of New Zealand. I work 0.5 with another colleague. Kōtuia is one of our many programs and projects. It's about 80% of me, I would say. So it's a very small idea with a big ambition. So to Kōtuia, it was launched in June 2023, just about 2 years ago now. You may well be aware of its predecessor, which is called NZ Museums. NZ Museums was utilised the eHive CMS to provide collection and directory data. It gave small museums and galleries an online presence for their collection, but it didn't tell the whole picture of where their collections sat in amongst our others. In relaunching the website as Kōtuia, we had the opportunity to rethink the website's identity, purpose and potential. I could get into a lot of that here, but that's not what this talk is about. I guess the only thing I really want to sort of focus on is within the redesign project, we landed on a new name. We were gifted the name by Lee Johnson at Te Papa, Kōtuia nā Kete, which references the threading together or the weaving together of baskets, referring to the baskets of knowledge that Tāne carried. So I guess the intention of the site is to connect those collections together, not just be a search engine, but also be a place of discovery, information, and ways that those collections connect. The main change for the website is that it uses the Digital NZ API, so we're sort of like part of a small ecosystem now that uses data from that API to surface collections that are shared within New Zealand. It's a little bit more robust in terms of organisations understanding how they can connect into that, where with eHive they just had to kind of click a button and they were in, where this with Digital NZ we go through a metadata like terms and conditions process with them, so it's a little bit more robust about getting organisations to really agree to join. So through Digital NZ we only use a slice of their metadata. It excludes library collections, archives, audio-visual. However, it does acknowledge that in smaller museums sometimes everything's so intertwined, so we do get some of that in there. But that's why for some of our large organisations like archives, we only take, not even archives, National Library I think, might be archives, one of the two, we only take a photography collection, we don't take everything. So we also have on the website a directory service for museums and galleries, which still runs through eHive, and it allows connections between collection objects. So scattered throughout the site there are ways to explore stories people have connected some of that content together, mini exhibitions sometimes, things like that. So I just wanted to kind of touch on sad irons because I love touching on sad irons because they're really nice and a bit sad, and really use them to answer the question why Kōtuia is a priority for NSTP. So there are tons of these in museum collections just on Kōtuia. There's around 200 that have been shared. Awareness of what exists in other collections can help museums make decisions around prioritisation. it can make them make better decisions about what is cared for, what they hold. This flows into sustainability of those organisations caring for taonga. The end goal of online access encourages all of those collection management practices that lead there. This was touched on yesterday with the DigiHub project. It's the access to collections online is the end point. We all know that. It's all the stuff before is the stuff that we can build on to promote that good practice and good care of collections. So we talked a big talk about a distributed national collection from early on in the development, and to be honest, looking for funding internally to redevelop the website. And I'll clarify now, as I clarified then, we didn't talk about the national collection, about taking Te Papa's national collection and scattering it across the whenua, or taking ownership of collections held in communities. The distributed national collection in this context is really the idea of visibility. It's providing broad opportunities to consider what we've collected and what we are collecting across organisations. It's about how we tell our stories in ways that join our collections together and to reduce the double up work. So Kōtuia was built with that in mind. At launch, it seemed like we were on the right track. Through the switch to Digital NZ for our collection item data, collection items jumped from 100,000 shared on NZ museums to over 1.4 million on Kōtuia. Contributing organisations included a much wider breadth of collections from our regional museums, art galleries and the metros. And then some of the museums who had shared on our previous website too. So we had a really big number that was growing. We're marching towards the lofty ideal of distributed national collection. It was all rosy, right? But then I looked a little bit closer and I saw if we looked at organisation level, not all the numbers were heading up. And I got a bit curious. So I started pulling out some data, and I apologise for this because it's on 3 screens. I was going to make it bigger, and someone told me no. So the left-hand side of this, the colourful side, you can see some of the squares are yellows, they're different yellows, deeper yellows, more collections being added, the reds, collections being taken away, the greens, the new collections. It looks a little bit like what you'd expect digitisation to look like. Things don't always move up. On the other side, the right-hand side, is a little bit less blank. It still tells the story of collections being, kind of like, sometimes collections are added, things like that. There's still a little bit in there of the kind of collection stuff. And just to go really quickly through this, it only tells the picture of some collections in Aotearoa of 400 museums with a directory listing. There's only 86 currently sharing their collection on the site. We're aware of around 80 more that are sharing some collections online on their own website. Some of these may never prioritise digitisation, but by putting them on the website in some form, people will better find them. And I just wanted to really quickly show you this. This is the data set in little squares. I just thought it looked really cool. But if you're in the kind of yellowy bit at the top, you know who you are. And I'd really love you to consider how you can support other organisations in this mahi. I know many of you have already taken up this challenge. So will we ever get there? Unlikely. But if we're supporting organisations with digitisation enabling access, and if we encourage organisations to update their profiles, if we encourage them to audit what they're already sharing, if we're helping decision making, then maybe there's a place, if we're doing all these things, maybe there's a place in building a picture of what we're connecting together. I'm really sorry for going over. There's a lot more I could have shared, but I just want to say big ngā mihi nui. Couldn't have done this without Digital NZ, eHive, support across Te Papa, and all that kind of ecosystem of digitisation, people doing awesome digitisation projects. Thank you.
Thank you. So our first question for Emma about Kōtuia. We had a few questions about Kōtuia's relationship to, they should be on, yes, good. Kōtuia's relationship to Digital NZ, about do they talk to each other? Was there a specific demand that you were trying to fill that Digital NZ doesn't cover? Your thoughts on that?
We're quite good, is that on? Yeah.
Yep.
We're quite good at duplication, aren't we, in the sector? I'd like to say this isn't a duplication. We take a portion of Digital NZ's metadata through their API, so we're working very closely with them. It was really intentional to do it that way, and it was intentional to keep a website separate to Digital NZ. A lot of the museums and galleries we work with are volunteer-based, are small. The opportunity to amplify their collections in a smaller subset is really important. It's an opportunity for us to continue to manaakitanga those collections within a smaller ecosystem that primarily looks at those tangible physical collection items. Yes, people can find them through Digital NZ's 300 million collection items, but the smaller subsets, it'd be better if we could just strip out the top ones, but we like to keep them in there because they pay the bills to Papa. But it's really important to be able to kind of make sure that those collections can be really seen, really visible, can be found when people are looking for them, rise to the top, I guess. But we are one of those organisations that uses the API from Digital NZ. It's really important. We're not replicating what we're doing, we're actually just trying to make sure we're using that across the sector.
Awesome. Thank you very much.